It's just crazy.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it was you or if it was your power, but I felt it.
Hey, Scanny.
Hey, how you doing? You appreciate that? So she's back there trying to cut it.
Anything from Lee? No, I just checked my phone. She needs
Call the meeting to order. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we just thank you once again for this time that we have to come together and do our business for the city. Lord, we just ask your mercies on this weather tonight, and hopefully we don't get a bad ice storm, and just keep everybody warm and with electricity. Lord, we just pray for the staff and the employees that's going to have to be out in this weather tonight, that you just protect them and keep them warm. Lord, we ask these things in your name. Amen. Let the record reflect all council members are present with the exception of Lee Malcolm. We need approval of the agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to add one item to the agenda. It's just an update from the electric department and public works on our preparedness and what our procedures are for this upcoming storm.
Okay, that'll be item number 10 under new business. So with that being added, I need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Mr. Little?
Second.
Second by Ms. Scott. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 4, we need an approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Scott, second by Mr. Adcock. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. This is a public forum section of our meeting. We have one person signed up, Marcia Blackman. Come to the podium. You have 3 minutes.
Ready now?
Yes.
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 Hi. My name is Marcia Blackman. I live in downtown Monroe, Felker Street. I want to say I appreciate you guys letting me speak here tonight. I'm going to make it as quickly, as fast as possible, because I just found out I got 3 minutes. Okay. I bought a house in 2010, downtown Monroe. I love it here. My son owns Horizon Roofing. I work for him. I do his books for his company. I'm not especially political. I'm very uncomfortable doing this, but so maybe you can understand. That it means a lot to me for me to be here a night at Stormin, and I'm uncomfortable. The subject I'd like to talk to you all this evening about is my complete support of the no tether ordinance in the city of Monroe. I've lived here, like I said, since 2006, but I've lived in downtown Monroe since 2010. I love this place. I've lived in Lawrenceville, I've lived in College Park, several other places. I'm just amazed, and I'm very impressed with this city. You're very progressive. You've got the best animal control in the country. It should probably, of course, it's not city, I know it's county, but it probably should be a model for the rest of the country. I'm trying to scratch off things that I don't have time for. I'm aware that Mr. Kelly presented this ordinance mostly for the sake of public safety and the safety of police officers. And of course, that's very important. It is. But also, I'd like to talk about the flip side of that. How many of you have maybe lived next door to somebody that's got a dog chained outside, laying there, suffering, no vet care, no attention, and you have to watch it? And there's nothing you can do. I love my house. I love this city. But I can't watch that anymore. My own son has bought some property, gated property, about 18 acres, and he says, "Mom, get out of there, move." I'm surrounded with rental properties, so they come and go. And, you know, I had a whole story to tell you that I won't have time to tell you now, but the end result, the guy kicked the dog to death next door to me. I had to watch it. There's nothing I could do about it. I had to watch as that dog suffered. Since then, there's probably been 4 or 5 more chained dogs sitting outside. You know, no shelter, no vet care, seldom food. And when I try to go feed them, the police was called on me, you know. And here I'm sitting crying because a dog was starving next door to me, and instead I'm reprimanded for trying to help. But in today's society, I think we all know that it's different. People don't just assume that it's okay to treat an animal like that just because it's an animal. And I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. I'm alone tonight because who else could I talk to come into coming out with me, you know, on a night that is supposed to be ice and snow or whatever. But I've talked to many people. There are many people in Monroe that feel the same way and are disgusted in seeing it and tired of seeing it. So I want to thank you for obviously doing a great job in this city because it's a great place to live. I've never seen another city that could have the events you have downtown, and it goes so beautifully. I've been to several. Everybody's happy, behaving themselves, you know, and it's just a great community. But that is a blight on this community.
3 minute time, okay. Thank you very much.
I don't want to leave Monroe. If you ever had a fan of this city, I'm one.
I appreciate it.
Help us.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll move into new business. Application of spirituals, liquors, and beer, wine on premises consumption, the Cotton Warehouse.
That application's in order, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the owner for the Cotton Warehouse? Okay. Everything's in order, we'll bring it before the council.
Move to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Scott, second by Mr. Adcock. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 2, we have the first reading of the Domestic Animals Ordinance Amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. For the council's benefit, I believe you have attached to your file the existing ordinance. I know there was some discussion some time back that the old ordinances be attached so that you can see what they were versus what they're going to. So Ms. Prather did that for you, so you should have that in your file for your review. And it was also posted on the web as well. This is an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Monroe, Georgia with respect to animals and for other purposes. The Mayor and the Council of the City of Monroe, Georgia hereby ordain as follows. Article 1, the code of the City of Monroe is hereby amended by deleting Article 2, Section 1043 through 1045 in their entirety and substituting the following in lieu thereof. Section 1043, keeping domestic animals under control. Sub A, it shall be unlawful for any owner of a domestic animal not to control the animal at all times through one of the following means: on a leash when off the property, within the passenger area of a vehicle driven or parked on the streets, within the property limits of its owner and attended by its owner, or confined within the property limits of its owner or of another with the permission of the person in control of the property. Confined means in a building, pen, or fenced area or other structure built to prevent intrusion or escape by any dog. Sub B, it shall be unlawful for any owner of a domestic animal to chain, tie, fasten, or otherwise tether the animal to dog houses, trees, fences, vehicles, or other stationary objects as a means of confinement, except that the animal may be temporarily confined by a tether while attended by its owner. Section 1044, specific requirements for confinement. It shall be an offense for any owner of a domestic animal not to satisfy the following requirements. Sub A, any tether used to temporarily confine an animal while attended by its owner must be attached to a collar or harness and shall not be wrapped directly around the animal's neck. Such tethers shall not be excessively heavy or weighted so as to inhibit the animal's movement. Sub B, all domestic animals shall be provided with sanitary shelter from the elements. Said shelter shall be designed, constructed, and maintained to protect the animal from rain, snow, ice, excessive cold, excessive heat, and excessive direct sunlight, and of a size to allow the animal sufficient space to stand, turn around, and lie down. And make all other normal body movements in a normal and comfortable position appropriate to the age, size, and health of the animal. Examples of inadequate shelter include, but are not limited to, lean-tos, metal or plastic drums, boxes, vehicles, or the area on or beneath exposed porches or decks. Nothing in the subsection shall be construed to prevent the transportation and temporary confinement of a domestic animal within the passenger area of a vehicle, provided the animal is provided adequate ventilation and temperature control in order to protect the animal from excessive heat or cold. Sub C, all domestic animals shall be provided with clean potable water at all times. Sub D, an owner must promptly remove and dispose of any animal excrement, food wastes, and debris so as to minimize vermin infestation, contamination, odors, and disease hazards. Sub E, all domestic animals shall be provided with a safe and sanitary confinement area constructed to confine the animal, to protect the animal from injury, and of a sufficient space to allow for adequate exercise suitable to the age, size, species, and breed of animal. The area shall have a means to rapidly eliminate excess water and minimize mud. Section 1045, prohibitions for domestic animals. It shall be unlawful for any person to permit a domestic animal under his or her ownership or possession to do the following. Sub A, go upon the property of another person other than its owner or keeper without the express consent of such other owner or occupant. Sub B, attack or act so as to menace pedestrians or other public or other persons using public ways or on the property of another. Pending adjudication for any citation for a violation of this subparagraph B, the person cited shall be required to maintain the dog in a proper enclosure as defined in this chapter. Any person convicted of violating the subsection, in addition to the penalties provided for in Section 1063, shall be required to maintain the dog in a proper enclosure as defined in this chapter. Sub C, disturb the peace of any other person by loud, persistent, habitual barking, howling, growling, yelping, or whining. No person shall be charged with violating the subsection unless written warning has previously been issued within the 90 days of the charged violation. No citation for violation of this subsection shall be issued unless there are at least 2 complaining witnesses who shall have signed a written statement stating the address of the dog owner, a description of the dog, and of the offense and the date, time, and location of the offense. Sub D, be and he to not be confined in an enclosure to the property of its owner or keeper. E is reserved. Article 2. The Code section of the City of Monroe, Article 2, Section 10, is hereby amended by adding the following section. Section 1045.1, maximum number of dogs and cats. Sub A, dogs. The following restrictions apply to the maximum number of dogs that may be possessed or kept on any residential property upon the area of the lot. Other applicable regulations, including the city zoning ordinance, shall still apply and should be consulted for restrictions on locations of shelters and enclosures and other restrictions. Kennels, as defined therein, are regulated under the zoning ordinances. Sub 1, larger than 2 acres. On any residential property that's larger than 2 acres, there shall be no restriction on the number of dogs allowed to be possessed or kept, provided all other applicable provisions of this chapter are obeyed. However, any such property that contains more than 6 dogs shall be required to maintain those animals in an enclosure at least 100 feet from the nearest property line. Sub 2, larger than 1 acre but equal to or less than 2 acres on any residential property that is larger than 1 acre but equal to or less than 2 acres, regardless of the designated zoning of said property, it shall be unlawful to possess or keep more than 6 dogs. Sub 3, equal to or less than 1 acre. On any residential property that is equal to or less than 1 acre, it shall be unlawful to possess or keep more than 3 dogs. Sub 4, multifamily units. For any dwelling unit in a multifamily development, it shall be unlawful to possess or keep more than 3 dogs. The overall acreage of the development of the property shall not control. Cats, sub B. The following restrictions apply to the maximum number of cats that may be kept on any residential property based on the area of the lot. Other applicable regulations, including the city zoning ordinance, shall still apply and should be consulted for restrictions on location of shelters and enclosures and other restrictions. Sub 1, larger than 2 acres. On any residential property that is larger than 2 acres, there shall be no restriction on the number of cats permitted, provided other provisions of this chapter are obeyed. Sub 2, equal to or less than 2 acres. On any residential property that is equal to or less than 2 acres, it shall be unlawful to possess or keep more than 6 cats. Multifamily unit, sub 3, for any dwelling unit in a multifamily development, it shall be unlawful to possess or keep more than 6 cats. The overall acreage of the development or property shall not control. Sub C, other provisions. The limits on dogs and cats are independent. For example, 1 1/2 acre parcel would allow up to 6 dogs and up to 6 cats. Sub 2, in instances where a new litter of cats or dogs causes violation of this section, the new litter shall be exempt from the provisions hereof for up to 12 weeks from the date of birth. Sub D, definitions. For the purpose of this section, residential property shall mean any property zoned to residential classification under the city zoning ordinance or any property containing or authorized to contain residential dwelling units. Sub 2, possess or keep shall mean owning, maintaining, or raising, or otherwise keeping such animals on the premises. Article 3, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Article 4, this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and the council of the city of Monroe, Georgia. That constitutes the first reading, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, can I ask a question concerning that? Not to whoever can answer it. After we heard Ms. Blackman speak, does this ordinance cover her concerns?
I believe that I heard several concerns from the citizens, so what specific, stopping someone from hurting a dog, I think that the ordinance probably already did that and still does this in other sections, not in these sections. This ordinance does prevent tethering. So to the extent that it addresses those two issues, I think that the ordinance would address them. Now, she may have referenced other concerns.
Okay. I appreciate her speaking to us tonight on this, and I'd like to be sure that the concerns she could express in her short time are covered under this so that we know that going forward.
I think it addresses pretty much everything.
It seems like it does. I just wanted to, someone else.
Covered somewhere else, and I want to speak with you before you leave, but like on kicking that dog to death, whatever, call 911, and I'm going to give you a card, and there's other charges for that would take care of that.
Okay, good, thank you.
Move on to item 3, first reading of the garbage collection ordinance amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, the prior version of the garbage collection ordinance is contained in your packet. This is an ordinance amend the code of the City of Monroe, Georgia with respect to solid waste and for other purposes. The Mayor and the Council of the City of Monroe, Georgia hereby ordain as follows. Article 1. The Code of the City of Monroe, Georgia is hereby amended by deleting Article 1, Section 82.7 in its entirety and substituting the following in lieu thereof. Section 82.7, garbage collection procedures. All owners, occupants, tenants, and lessees of buildings and premises to whom services from the city for the collection and disposal of garbage are offered shall comply with the following procedures. Sub 1, person having authority to control the disposal of garbage in any household premises or building shall cause all garbage collected therein to be placed in approved containers provided by the city solid waste department. Sub 2, all such containers shall be placed in normal locations so long as said locations are no closer to the curb than the frontmost wall of the building nearest to the property line until pushed to the curb not earlier than 5 p.m. on the day before the date of collection. Plastic bags may be placed at curbside alongside rollout containers. Dates and times of collections and collection procedures shall be set forth in the Solid Waste Department garbage collection guidelines after being approved by the Mayor and the Director of Solid Waste. No such container or plastic bag shall be placed in the street except on the shoulders or areas not reserved vehicular travel. No such container or plastic bags shall be placed on a sidewalk. Sub 3, provision shall be made to exempt occupants who are physically unable to push their containers to the curb. Sub 4, exemption forms are available on request at the city clerk's office. Sub 5, after collection by the solid waste department of the garbage within any container, all containers placed at curbside shall be promptly removed from the street right of way to their normal locations, so long as said locations are no closer to the curb than the frontmost wall of the building nearest to the property line, by the person having authority to control the disposal of garbage at any household premises or building. Any person responsible for any such container not removed by 5 p.m. of the day following the day the garbage container was emptied by the solid waste department shall be deemed to be in violation of this section. Sub 6, poisons, acids, caustics, explosives, and other hazards or dangerous materials, soils, or any type of construction materials and furniture shall not be placed in any container provided for garbage. Article 2, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Article 3, this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the Mayor and the Council of the City of Monroe. This constitutes the first reading, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4, resolution authorizing contract for the funding of the T grant.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Monroe, Georgia. It's a resolution authorizing the City of Monroe, Georgia, hereinafter the sponsor, and the Georgia Department of Transportation, hereinafter the Department, to contract for the funding under the Transportation Equity Act for the 21st century, hereinafter referred to as T21. Whereas the Secretary of the United States Department of Transportation, hereinafter referred to as the USDOT, and the Commissioner of the Department are authorized contract for transportation enhancement projects, and whereas the contract for financial assistance imposes certain duties upon the sponsor, including but not limited to the provision of its local share of project costs, and whereas the sponsor guarantees that it will comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and all other pertinent directives and all USDOT requirements, and whereas to complete the project, sponsor will use disadvantaged business enterprises to the fullest extent possible and will implement and administer procedures to ensure that minority businesses are competitive for contracts and purchase orders when procuring services, including but not limited to construction contracts, supplies, equipment contracts or consulting contracts. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and the Council of Monroe, Georgia as follows. Section 1, that Mayor Greg Thompson is hereby authorized to execute the contract on behalf of the sponsor with the department for aid in financing construction and all other activities incidental thereto of transportation enhancement activity pursuant to Public Law 105-178 of 1998 and all other provisions as set forth in the contract with the department. Section 2, that Mayor Greg Thompson is authorized to execute and file an assurance or any other document required by the U.S. DOT and the department certifying compliance with Title VI the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Section 3, the Mayor Greg Thompson is authorized to furnish any and all additional information that may be required by U.S. DOT or to the department in connection with the application for the Transportation Enhancement Activity Project and budget. Section 4, that Mayor Greg Thompson is authorized to set forth and execute affirmative disadvantaged business policies in connection with the participation goal established by the Georgia Department of Transportation. Section 5, that this resolution shall become effective upon its adoption. So resolved the 11th day of February 2014. That is the resolution, Mayor.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Ms. Scott. Second by Mr. Adcock. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 5, approval of Transportation Enhancement Activities Agreement.
Mayor, again, this is just the agreement. Standard agreement with GDOT, basically saying we'll provide a $250,000 local match to receive the money of the 2 transportation enhancement grants, and just in a nutshell, just standard agreement. The work has to be complete by June 30th, 2016. So,
and we've already spent a majority of that money, correct?
Spent about $180,000, I believe, of the $250 match.
Okay. All right, so we'll need a motion for this.
And this enhancement is where now?
That's the South Broad Street from
okay.
It was at Davis to Walker Drive, or excuse me, to Mears Street.
Mill Street to
Yeah, but yeah, with the agreements.
I move it be approved.
Have a motion by Mr. Bradley, second by Ms. Scott. Any discussion? Not all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 6 is approval of the Georgia DOT right-of-way mowing and maintenance agreement.
Again, this goes along with the T grant, basically saying we'll perform all the maintenance during the scope of the project. And again, there's a maintenance work plan in this agreement that saying that we'll abide by it.
Okay, we need a motion for that.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Dixon,
Second.
second by Ms. Scott. Any discussion? Not all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 7 is approval of the airport power line relocation grant.
This is our final grant for burying the power lines at the airport in the amount of $371,182. So that will just wrap that project up at the airport.
Okay, need a motion for that.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Little,
Second.
second by Mr. Purvis. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Number 8, discussion of approval of the gas system improvements.
Thank you, Mayor. Coming for you tonight to ask to purchase some material for several gas system improvements. The total pipe, the tracer wire, and the trailer is $17,800. That was the low bid from Utility Supply. That would be the 500. Foot coils of the 4-inch pipe and the tracer wire, total 16,800, and then the use of the trailer for a week is 1,000.
Okay. Do you have any questions? None, entertain a motion.
I move to approve this.
Motion by Mr. Little.
Second.
Second by Mr. Curtis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item number 9, discussion and approval of commercial gas rebate program. Rodney?
Thanks, Mayor. Got some calls from a couple commercial, asking to be included in this gas rebate program. They would not qualify for the financing yet. It would just be the hot water, protectless hot water rebate, and also the tap fee rebate. And didn't know if that'd be something y'all be interested in adding. That could be the same rebate program, just add commercial.
Remind me, we get reimbursed on some of this,
That's on the financing part.
on the financing part.
The commercial's not included in the financing yet, but it will be before long.
What's the participation from residential since we started that?
So far, we've had one that took advantage of the rebate and the tanker's rebate.
And if we do business, what do you anticipate? How many of those would you anticipate?
I've received 3 calls so far.
I think it'll pick up a little bit though. I mean,
We hadn't really did a huge marketing deal
Right.
yet. Some other issues with because we have to notify them of the dangers of natural gas. We think it'd be a good time to go out and try.
I think I'm all for supporting this and offering it to commercial businesses, just the same as we've done residentially. I don't see any reason not to, do you?
You want to put that in the form of a motion?
Okay, one more question.
Sure.
Do we have a limit on how many of these? Didn't we pass something about a limit on how many we would do?
Just until the, I think it's 20,000,
Runs out.
until it runs out.
So your motion would be to continue under that same limitation, correct?
Is that the number? I thought it was even smaller than
I
that.
thought it was
It
smaller.
was
That was
5,000
last
last year, it's 25,000 this year.
Yeah.
But 5,000 that's set aside for marketing.
Do you want to split it up commercially to allocate?
We just track it.
Okay.
I'd rather track it. I'm not sure who's,
I mean, at the pace it's going, I think we're safe to approve
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the commercial gas rebate program in a similar fashion to the residential program that we've already initiated.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Curtis,
No second.
second by Mr. Bradley. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item number 10, update on our departments for the weather we're supposed to be having.
You go first.
Yeah.
Last weather update we got is saying between a half and an inch of ice and 3 to 6 inches of snow. The snow coming in first. Snow's not going to bother us that much. The ice will destroy our system. And I don't. Have any other way to say it. If it gets up to an inch, the last time we had an inch was 93, and it was terrible. The two or three things I would say to the public is, the first thing, stay away from all down lines. I don't care if you think you know what the line is, just stay away from it. We've got that out on our social media sites. We're trying to get that out to the public. The other thing is, if they connect a generator to their system, please pull your main breaker, or we will pull it for you. It can kill our linemen. Transformers work in reverse. So if you put 120 volts on this side, that transformer is going to turn that voltage into 7,200 volts on the other side. We might think we've got everything grounded down, and we come up and it not be. So we really look out for that. The other thing is, don't use generators and or any kind of charcoal heater indoors. We don't want anybody dying. We have a priority list of getting the power back on. That will be the hospital. Then it will be public safety, along with the 2 nursing homes under our coverage. Then we will go to the water plant, which is we see as part of public safety, because without water they can't fight fires, which could happen with space heaters being about. And then we will go into the big lines. People could see us, going past their residence 2 or 3 times and wonder why we're not actually working on their individual problem, but it would be us working on a larger issue. We will spend the shorter amount of time to get more people on, and then we will come back and get the small stuff. So just have patience with us. We'll work as quickly as we can and as safely as we can, but please stay away from any down wire. That's really all I have right now. We'll get it as fast as we can, Mayor.
Thank you.
And as far as the streets are concerned, I will echo Brian's statement to the tune of, please, if at all possible, stay off the roads. Our window of opportunity or threshold is going to be somewhere between midnight and 2 to 3 a.m. We'll have a crew in eyeballing situations, and as signs of accumulation develop, we will attack those areas, putting down some rock and some salt, and we'll start with the hospital, and then we will take care of our safety facilities. From that point, depending on the temperature, depending on what type of precipitation we're getting, will determine the next measures. Best case scenario, we'll work our collector streets, our heavier traveled roads, and then work from there to the secondary and tertiary streets throughout the city. But the biggest thing will be to keep people off of the streets. That's the only way we can ensure safety, is in doing that. And that is number our number one goal, to make sure our safety personnel can get to and from areas of interest, and make sure we can get our power crews to the lines and get the trees out of the road to ensure that we have power throughout the city. It is going to be an event, and patience is asked.
All right. You want to hear from anybody else?
That's good.
All right. Well, with no other business, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Dixon,
Second.
second by Ms. Scott. All in favor? All right, meeting adjourned. Y'all be careful.